Hi everyone, today we're going to talk a lot about memory. How to train our memory, people who lose their memories, how can we improve our memory. So the word memory is mentioned more than once in an article given in the student's book, page 18, please. Now, the very first thing I want to do is to give you the meaning of the word memory. اللي هي بالعربي الذاكرة. In English, it's your ability to remember things. So don't forget the meaning of the word memory. It'll help you understand every single point given in this passage. Now, let's have a look at the first paragraph. In the first paragraph, the writer has a question for us. He says, how can we really improve our memory? هلأ صرتوا عارفين معنى كلمة memory. Let's read the first sentence given in the first paragraph, please. The first sentence reads, many people complain that their memory is bad. A new word given here, which is the word complain. If I complain, أنا عمالي بشكي, so I'm really annoyed. What do they complain about? They complain about having bad memories, especially when they get really older. Now, phone numbers, names, facts we studied a few days ago. The words are familiar for you. It's just a list of things we may really have problems when we want to remember them. Then the writer says life would be easier or much easier if we could remember them all effortlessly. Here we're given the pronoun them. Third line, the pronoun them. What does it refer to? It refers to the second line, the information given, which is phone numbers, names, and facts we studied a few days ago. You should always check while reading the pronouns and what do they refer to. You can really see that the first paragraph ends with a question. How can we improve our memory? فاهمين معنى السؤال؟ I want to improve my memory. I want to have a better memory. وكلمة memory حكيناها اللي هي الذاكرة. That's all about the first paragraph. Let's move to the second paragraph, please. Now, in the second paragraph, the first line reads, many people think that repeating things is the best way to remember them. رجع عنا another pronoun here, which is the pronoun them. The pronoun them here refers to things. Will people think? They just think. When they repeat things. Once you repeat a thing, you say it again and again. في عندي تكرار. وقلنا إنه الpronoun them refers to repeating things. This undoubtedly, what do you mean by undoubtedly? It means certainly. We are certain here that it helps short-term memory. ممكن تقولوا شو هاي short-term memory؟ اللي هي بدي أتذكر شغلات for a short period of time. بيعطينا الرايتر examples like remembering a telephone number for a few seconds. شايفين؟ بس few seconds for example. هلا السايكولوجيستس اللي هم علماء النفس doubt, هم not sure. When I say they doubt, it means they are not sure whether it can really help you remember things for very long. شايفين يعني حتى السايكولوجيستس عندهم doubt, عندهم شك. إذا كانت هاي الميثود اللي هي repeating things، يعني هون لو سألونا عن البروناون it, what does it refer to? It refers to repeating things. Does it really help you remember things for very long? حتى psychologists are not sure. Then, to prove this point, the writer here gives us information about a psychologist. He's British. His name is E.C. Stanford, who seemed to prove this point. See, the psychologist Stanford wants to prove this point. Now, what does this psychologist tell us? The psychologist himself tested, he himself had really to remember the prayers he read 5 times a day. He says he tested himself on 5 prayers that he had read aloud every morning for over 25 years. هاي الانفورميشن مين اللي read prayers for 25 years؟ اللي هو السايكولوجيست himself اللي اسمه ستانفورد. البرايرز ممكن ما تعرفوها اللي هي الصلوات. He read them 5 times for a period of 25 years. He found that he could remember no more than 3 words of some of them. إيش كانت الريزلت اللي هو وصلها أو الكونكلوجن إنه he wasn't able really to remember more than 3 words of some of them. البروناون them هون بيعود للprayers. إيش بيعني في more than 3 words not more than 3 words مش أكتر من 3 words اللي هو كان يعيدهم في الprayers. شايفين؟ فخلينا let's reread the sentence اللي بتقول he could remember no more than 3 words of some of the prayers اللي كان he used to read them every day 5 times a day. What else? More helpful, the writer also here says, especially when it comes to remembering numbers, there is something that can really help you. The important point mentioned here, it is about chunking. You may ask yourself, what does the word chunking mean? To make it clear, the writer here says grouping the information. أكيد كلمة grouping أسهل إلكم. So chunking, هلا it'll be clear لأنه we're given an example. It reads, the sentence reads, the following numbers would be impossible for most of us to remember. شايفين هذا النمبر? It's impossible, مستحيل to remember. But look at them. The pronoun them here refers to the numbers given in chunks. شايفين when given in chunks اللي هم in groups, it becomes much easier. فهلا if you have a look at the first group of numbers كلهم without chunking, it's almost impossible to remember them. But when chunked, if you chunk the numbers given, it'll be much easier for you to remember them. So you can tell now what's really meant by chunking numbers. شايفين لما عملت لهم chunking صاروا في groups وهذا will help me remember them much. This method is much easier اللي هي chunking information or grouping the information. Now let's move to the following paragraph. Let's move to the third paragraph. What about memory training? شايفين? We can tell that in this paragraph we'll have, or the writer gives us information about how really we can train our memories. Let's answer this question. We've all heard about people who can memorize packs of cards by heart. What do you mean by to memorize things by heart? شو يعني هاي by heart؟ اللي هي لما بحفظ الشغلات غيبا اللي احنا بنقولها بالعامية بصم. So I memorize them by heart. How is this done? Can anyone learn how to do it? Can anyone learn how to do it? في عنا الpronoun it which precedes the question mark. What does it refer to? Do what? It refers to memorizing packs of cards by heart. شايفين الpronouns we should always ask ourselves what do they refer to. Let's continue. According to experts يعني حسب اللي حكوا لنا اياه الexperts الخبراء, there are various ways of training your memory. شو يعني various ways؟ يعني different ways. ما في عنا just one way, more than one way. They really help me train my memory. أكيد هلأ كلمة memory صارت معروفة لإلنا. We train your memory. You're trying to improve your memory زي ما بساوي تدريب على أي إشي. Now إيش هم هدول الways اللي بدهم يساعدوني to train my memory؟ انتبهوا هلأ بدنا نبلش في عنا different points about the different ways mentioned. Now the first point or the first way mentioned, the writer says many of them. هلأ them لإيش بتعود للways of training our memory. They involve forming a mental picture of the items to be memorized. شو هاي forming a mental picture؟ forming a mental picture إني أنا في عقلي بساوي صورة للإشي اللي أنا بدي أحفظ معناه. فرضاً عندي هاي من عندي الإكزامبل not given in the article. فرضاً عندي كلمة book بتخيل بعقلي كيف شكل البوك وتفاصيله. ما رح أنسى بربطها في عقلي في صورة البوك فبفضل متذكرة لأنه أنا ربطها في mental picture وبفضل بتذكرها. شايفين؟ فهو بيقولنا forming a mental picture للitems to be memorized, للitems اللي أنا بدي أتذكرها. حتى يساعدنا الرايتر إيش بيقول؟ One method which is really useful in learning foreign languages to create a picture in your mind associated with a word you want to remember. شو يعني learning a foreign language؟ لما بتعلم foreign language معناها عم بتعلم لغات أجنبية. بيقول الرايتر إنه it helps a lot إذا أنتو you're learning foreign languages إنكم إيش تساووا؟ To create a picture in your mind which is related. هون associated ممكن كلمة جديدة إلنا اللي هي إيش معناها related with a word you want to remember. هاي الطريقة إنه بساوي picture في عقلي برسم صورة للإشي اللي بدي أتعلمه و it helps me really a lot especially if you're learning foreign languages. هلا to prove this point or to make it clear بيعطينا examples الرايتر. فإيش بيقول؟ for example في عنا an English person wishing to learn pato. هلا كلمة pato بيوضح لنا إنه it's a Spanish word for duck. duck in English اللي هي بتعرفوا الدك البطة. could associated with the English verb to pat. شايفين بدي أسهل على حالي بربط الكلمة pato مع الإنجليش verb اللي هي to pat. ممكن تقولوا شو هذا الverb to pat اللي هي to pat when I touch gently to show my love. عارف بيضرب الواحد هيك بخفة if I pat طريقة للدلال showing love. شايفين؟ فهون كلمة pato هي Spanish وإذا بدي أخدها في الإنجليش كتير ساعدني الفيرب في الإنجليش اللي هي to pat. فعملت هون أنا I really associated the word pato with the verb pat in English. Also, he says it'll help you if you imagine someone patting a duck on the head and this would remind the learner of the Spanish word. شايفين؟ اللي بيتعلم عماله هاي الكلمة in English بيتذكر السبانيش word اللي هي pato بيتذكر الانجليش verb pat وإيش معنى pat بصير عندي relation بين التنتين وبقدر أوصل للmeaning of the word pato which is taken from Spanish. Hope this point is clear. See? So mainly very important for us to remember in this paragraph it helps a lot if we create a picture in our mind which is related to a word we want to remember. Now, that's all about the third paragraph. Let's move to the fourth paragraph. Another method given in the fourth paragraph which is inventing a story. تعرفوا كلمة invent عم بخترع قصة. Invent a story. The story includes all the things you want to remember. هلا هاي الستوري اللي بدي أنا I want to invent it لازم إيش يكون فيها all the things I want to remember. In experiments يعني هم ساووا experiments وإيش شافوا إنه people اللي كانوا سألوهم فبيقولنا إنه people were asked to remember up to 120 words using this technique. شايفين people اللي كانوا في هدول experiments اللي دخلوا في التجربة they were asked يعني طلبوا منهم إنهم يتذكروا 120 words. إيش استخدموا to remember the 120 words؟ استخدموا هاي التكنيك. شو هي التكنيك اللي mentioned في هاي الباراجراف اللي هي inventing a story. When tested afterwards يعني لما ساووا test على هدول people on average they were able to recall 90% of them. They were able. انتبهوا انه البروناون they هون بيعود للpeople اللي كانوا في الاكسبيرمنت وكانوا able to recall يعني to remember 90% of the words. So the pronoun them here 90% of them. The pronoun them here refers to the 120 words they were asked to remember. فالبيبل هدول ما قدروش يتذكروا إلا 90% من ال 120 words. Then surprisingly إيش يعني surprisingly؟ بيقصد الكاتب إنه إشي رح يفاجئنا إنه there is nothing new about these methods. هدول الميثودز اللي ذكرناهم previously اللي هلا حكينا عنهم مش new. Nothing new about them. They were around even in ancient times. الناس ممكن تفتكر إنه هدول كلهم new methods، بس الرايتر هون بيأكد إنهم they were around even in ancient times، كانوا موجودين في ال ancient times. كلمة ancient معناها related to the past، في ال old times، في الوقت الماضي القديم sorry. Apparently clearly الرومان general حتى يأكد على هاي البوينت بيقولنا أو بيعطينا example على general هو رومان. إيش اسمه؟ اسمه Publius Spacio who could recognize and name. هذا الجنرال إيش عمل؟ كان عنده الابيليتي المقدرة to recognize and name the entire army. كل جيشه. The word entire mean all of his army. قديش كان عددهم؟ 35,000 men in total. شايفين الارمي كان في 35,000 men، وهذا الجنرال Publius he was really able to remember the names of them all. See, so this method really helped him. Another point, this example about the Roman general proves that the methods mentioned existed in the past, not only in the present, but they also existed in the past. Now, let's continue and move to the following paragraph. In the following paragraph, the writer gives us another important point. Let's see. It reads, the paragraph reads, however, not all of us are really interested in learning long lists of names and numbers. مش كلنا interested مهتمين في learning long lists، هاي القوائم الطويلة من الnames والnumbers just for fun. Not all of us are really interested in this just for fun. تعرفوا إذا بعمل أنا إشي just for fun which is just to entertain myself هيك بس للتسلية. For those studying large quantities of information، مثل عنا طلاب في الانجينيرينج فرضا ولا في الفارماسي بيدرسوا large quantities of information. شو يعني large quantities of information؟ كميات كبيرة من المعلومات، لأنه أنتم بتعرفوا أكيد information اللي هي المعلومات، وهدول عندهم large quantities of information، عندهم معلومات كتير لازم يدرسوها. إيش بيقولوا لهم السايكولوجيستس؟ السايكولوجيستس suggest بيقترحوا that the best way to form meaningful connections is to ask yourself lots of questions as you go along. السايكولوجيستس لقوا لهم حل هدول الطلاب اللي بدهم يدرسوا large quantities of information. إيش what do psychologists suggest? They suggest asking questions, lots of questions even, as we go along. See? So, for example, بده يوضح لنا هاي البوينت كيف asking myself questions. If you were reading about a particular disease، أنا عم بقرأ عن مرض محدد، disease اللي هو المرض. You would ask yourself questions like، بقدر أسأل نفسي questions عن هذا disease. إيش هم ال questions؟ The first question, do people get it from water؟ هون ال pronoun it أكيد بيعود لمين؟ للdisease. What parts of the body does it affect؟ كمان مرة عنا ال pronoun it again which refers to the disease. شو يعني what part of the body does it really affect؟ اللي هو أي جزء من جسمنا بيأثر عليه المرض. And so on. And so on يعني كمان عنا questions تانية بقدر to ask myself about them. This is said to be far more effective than. شوفوا هون إنه هاي الميثود far more effective than معناها فعالة أكتر. انتبهوا إنه هون it's better than أو far more effective than الوقت اللي أنا بمضيه passively reading and rereading notes. كتير طلاب when they study information or large quantities of information إيش بيساووا؟ They just read and reread. With psychologists believe that it's much better if they really ask themselves lots of questions. Ask themselves. See, so you see the writer here mentions a point and then provides examples to prove his point. Finally, or in the last paragraph, we have information about forms of memory loss. The last paragraph is about forms of memory loss. شو يعني forms of memory loss؟ أشكال فقدان الذاكرة. مش كل الناس عندهم نفس الفورم of memory loss. هلأ بيقول في last paragraph finally لأنها last paragraph what about the opposite problem. شو يعني هون what about the opposite problem؟ ال opposite problem اللي هي عكس احنا حكينا المشكلة اللي قبليها أو البوينت اللي قبليها سوري اللي هي to improve my memory. هون عندنا something opposite to this. How can I really improve my memory؟ بيقول الرايتر what happens when people lose their memories؟ يسأل هذا السؤال. Then memory loss can take many forms. رح يبلش يعطيني points أو different forms للmemory loss. He says cases of people who forget their identity. See فهذا عندكم أول form من الميموري loss اللي هو forgetting identity. شو يعني forget identity؟ ما بيقدروا هدول الناس يميزوا هويتهم الشخصية. يعني ممكن حدا يسأله who are you وما بيعرف يجاوب. He lost his really personal identity. وإيش بيساووا هدول الناس؟ They end up wandering the streets. Wandering the streets. Here we have a new word given in this line. What does the word wandering mean? It means moving about without a fixed purpose. شو يعني بالعربي؟ أنا عمالي بتجول بالشوارع ومش عارف لا وين رايح ولا عندي هدف. شايفين هدول الناس اللي عندهم هاي المشكلة اللي هي بنسميها بالإنجليزي they forget their identity. فبيمشوا في streets and sadly what else relatively common this what does this mean? This is relatively common. إنه هاي المشكلة اللي هي losing their identity somehow common شائعة أو منتشرة في كتير ناس عندهم هاي البروبلم. إيش البروبلم اللي هي losing their identity؟ خلينا ننتقل للفورم الثاني من الميموري loss اللي هو given in this paragraph. بيقول الرايتر rarer cases. انتبهوا إذا الكيس rare معناها نادرة أو وجودها قليل. البرسنتج عنا شوي قليلة. فبيقول الرايتر rarer cases include the man who lost his memory for faces. إذن إيش الفورم الثاني اللي هو losing memory for faces believed that a stranger was watching him every time he looked in the mirror. إيش كان يفكر هذا اللي عنده مشكلة في الميموري for faces؟ He believed إنه في stranger was watching him. تعرفوا stranger someone you don't know شخص غريب watching him. هلا البروناون him what does it refer to? It refers to this man who lost his memory for faces. Every time he looked in the mirror. كل مرة هذا المان. إذن البروناون هي بتعود للمان who lost his memory for faces. So every time he looked in the mirror كان يفكر إنه في stranger watching him. مع إنه هو أكيد كان عم بيشوف نفسه بالميرور. شايفين فعنده problem. What else? Or the man who lost his visual memory. إذن هون عنا the third form mentioned. إيش هو الفورم الثالث من الميموري loss اللي هو loss of visual memory. شو يعني visual؟ الvisual memory اللي هي not being able to recognize everyday objects. الواحد عنده visual memory عنده مشكلة في النظر بيعود ما بيقدر يميز بين ال everyday objects حاجات أنا كل يوم بشوفها. هلأ عندكم ال word recognize. Please have a look at the words given on your right hand side. The word recognize is given. What does it mean? It means to know and remember. اللي قلت لكم اللي هي بالعربي إني أقدر إني أميز. You should know the meaning in English and in Arabic. فبيقولنا إنه هذا البيرسون اللي كان عنده loss of visual memory ماله he couldn't really recognize إنه يميز ال everyday objects. إيش صار يساوي؟ confusing a pen with a knife. شايفين ما عاد يميز البن من النايف. صار عنده confusing a pen with a knife. كلمة confusing كمان جديدة. Have a look again at the words given on your right hand side. Sorry, left hand side. Sorry. confused means being unable to tell the difference. إذا أنا confused ما بقدر إنه أميز أو أشوف الفرق بين الitems اللي قدامي. مثل هذا البيرسون اللي إيش ماله ما عاد يميز بين البن والنايف. Then the writer ends his article and says, in the end, this man who lost his visual memory, إيش ساوى؟ He preferred to wear dark glasses and pretended that he was blind. إيش ساوى؟ قرر إنه to wear dark glasses، النظارات اللي كان يلبسها كانت dark، و pretended that he was blind. Pretend معناها بيتظاهر إنه هو blind but this is not real. شايفين إذا أنا I pretend to be nice أنا مش nice بس بتظاهر بهذا الشيء. فهذا البيرسون اللي كان عنده visual memory pretended إنه هو blind، اتظاهر إنه هو أعمى. أكيد كلمة blind familiar إلكم، وزي ما قلنا كان يلبس كمان dark glasses. That's all about the article. Please don't forget the new words given on the screen on your left hand side, and always check the pronouns we mentioned, the new words. I gave you the meaning of each one of them. Now, if we move to the following part, here we have true and false statements. Based on your understanding, you have to decide if each of the statements is true or false. Of course, it isn't up to you to tell it's true or false. You have really to refer to the passage, check the point given in the passage, then you can decide if it's true or false. Now, let's see the first statement given here. Let's read. It says, all age groups can remember things effortlessly. خلينا نفسرها. إيش معناها؟ إنه مهما اختلفت أعمارنا بنقدر نتذكر الأشياء بدون أي effort، بدون أي تعب. This is for sure false. Now, how can you really prove that this point is false? Please have a look at the first paragraph, the second and the third line, where the writer says, life would be so much easier if we could remember them effortlessly. So how can we improve our memory? You see, this point given in the second and the third line, the first paragraph, proves that this piece of information is false. Let's move to the second sentence or statement given, and again you have to decide if it's true or false. Let's read. It says, it can help you to remember things. The underlined pronoun it refers to short-term memory. Let's check. Does really the pronoun it refer to short-term memory? Now, let's go to paragraph 2, please. Paragraph 2, this statement is false. But let's refer to the paragraph. The second paragraph, the third and the fourth line, both of them give you information about this point and prove that this statement is false. So have a look at line 3 and line 4, please. انتوا فاهمين ايش معنى العبارة اللي عنا؟ It can help you remember things. بيسألكم البروناون it هون بيعود للشورت تيرم ميموري، صح ولا خطأ؟ هو بيعود للشورت تيرم ميموري، فهون بنقدر نعرف it can help you to remember things for very long. هون احنا قلنا انه البروناون it لمين بيعود لrepeating things، فهذا بيأكد لكم انه هذا خطأ. This is false. Let's move to the third sentence given or statement. Let's see. Number 3. Inventing a story that includes all the things you want to remember. يعني أنا تتذكروا قلنا I can invent a story، بخترع هاي الستوري. Is it really one of the most modern techniques used to train your memory؟ لما نقول most modern معناها من هي أحدث واحدة، حتى مش من الأحدث. It's the most modern technique. انتبهوا أكيد هاي false. If you remember إحنا كنا قلنا إنه this technique is really ancient. It even existed in ancient times. فإذا بترجعوا للباراجراف في الباراجراف ايش مكتوب عنا؟ في الباراجراف بيقول انه they were around even in ancient times. See the line before the last, if you read the line or this part given in the paragraph, it says they were around even in ancient times. This is given in paragraph 4. واحنا قلنا شو معنى ancient times، وهذا بيدل انه هاي الستيتمنت اكيد false. هو بيقولنا انها modern، حتى most modern هي اكيد false. Let's move to number 4 and check if it's really true or false. Let's see. Losing our memory for faces isn't as common as forgetting your identity. ايش يعني هاي؟ لما انا بفقد الميموري تبعتي للفيسز، هاي مش as common as forgetting your identity. مش كتير common مثل لما انسى انا هويتي الشخصية. It is not as common as. بينفي هاي البوينت، معناتها هي مش common قد الثانية. ايش هي البوينت الثانية اللي هي forgetting our identity. This statement is true. How can you really tell? How can you tell if this statement is true or false? Anyhow, let's refer to the paragraph and decide if it's really true or false. This point or this piece of information is given in the last paragraph. It is given in the last paragraph, line 3. It is given in the last paragraph, line 3. Let's see. What does the writer say in this part? He says memoryless can take many forms, and then we have cases of people who forget their identity, end up wandering the streets. Sadly, relatively, this is, what does he say? Relatively common. And rarer cases include the man who lost his memory. معناها هون it's a rare case. لما بتكون rare case معناها حالة نادرة أو قليلة. This statement is true. See, you should always read and reread the sentence to be able to tell if it's true or false. So this statement is true. And you can have a look at the sentence given in the last paragraph, the third line. That's all about the fourth point mentioned. Let's move to the last one given and let's decide if it's really true and false or false. It says reading and rereading notes is more effective than. انتبهوا, more effective than معناها هي أحسن من asking أو فعالة أكتر من إيش؟ asking yourself questions to remember the information you're studying. كأنه الرايتر is drawing a comparison هون بين مين؟ بين reading and rereading information with asking questions. Which is better؟ عم بيساوي لنا مقارنة مين منهم أحسن. فهو بيقول إنه reading and rereading notes هي more effective. هل هي more effective؟ Let's refer to the paragraph اللي مكتوبة فيها هاي piece of information. هاي المعلومات وين موجودة عنا؟ موجودة عنا في الباراجراف 5. It's given in paragraph 5 where the writer says here you should really ask yourself questions, asking yourself questions, and then what else? He also says you ask yourself questions and then do people really ask questions about a certain disease? Do they get it from water and so on? But let's move to the following part where the writer says this is said to be far more effective than time spent passively reading and rereading notes. Please read this part again. إيش بيقول الرايتر؟ This is said to be far more effective. شايفين معناته asking questions more effective than reading and rereading notes. هذا last line في الباراجراف 5. last line في paragraph 5 بيأكد لكم إنه هاي الستيتمنت false. See, you should check if you can't really tell, read it and reread the statement again. That's all about this reading passage, which is about memory, different forms of improving our memory, and evidence given from psychologists. Thank you very much. But please, if you have questions, don't hesitate to email us, or you can always visit us. We're always ready to help. Thank you very much. Salam.